Welcome to Beyond the Closing Table with Setco Services. In this podcast, we delve into the world of real estate and explore what happens beyond the closing table. Join us for insightful discussions and expert interviews that will change the way you see real estate transactions. Welcome to Beyond the Closing Table. I'm George Brandon Jr., sponsored by Setco Services. So today we have Dr. Lance Whorton. Lance?
Yep. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
I know you as a physical therapist, a guy who sticks needles in my neck and shoulder. But, you know, in the brief time we spent together, I've learned there's a whole lot more to this onion that we can peel back.
I try to keep it on top for toast.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Always diverse conversations when we get together for a little PT. We'll get into all those awesome letters behind your name and what they mean. But first of all, a little bit about you and how you got here. Where'd you grow up, Lance?
Sure. So I grew up in the middle of Missouri, kind of in between St. Louis and Kansas City and about halfway to Iowa.
I like you say Missouri.
That's because I'm from Missouri.
Okay. All right. I'm from Memphis. We say Missouri.
Yeah, you're wrong. So, you have to say it correctly.
Well, so whereabouts exactly?
Kind of north central.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it rural?
It was very rural.
Okay.
Yeah, more cattle than people up where I'm from.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, most of the time it is. Yeah, it was great.
Did you grow up on a farm?
I grew up in the country. My grandfather had a farm. So our family was farmers and did some home health and different things around that time. Then went to school in St. Louis for physical therapy. Graduated there in 91.
Well, hold on. We got to go back. I want to know what little Lance was doing.
Little Lance was
doing. Were you a little farm boy, redneck?
Little Lance did anything outside. So hunt, fish, hike,
everything?
Shoot. Yeah. It.
I'm taking you. There was no iPhones. Not to date you a little bit, but you know,
I don't even think there wasn't anything.
Yeah. So did you work on the cattle stuff?
So I grew up about an hour and a half from my grandfather's farm. So we didn't work on it. We didn't live on it, but we did go back and forth with it. So I was just in the country, a very rural area.
What'd
I did
folks
odd
do?
Jobs. Yeah, I went to high school there. I've sacked groceries. I've done roofing. I've thrown hay. So
got it. What'd your parents do?
My dad was for a while, he managed a company called TGNY, which used to be kind of like Walmart. They went out of business. Walmart put them out of business.
Okay.
And then he was a buyer for a farm and home store. And then my mother worked for a home health agency, and eventually he and my mom ran that agency.
Okay. So there's a health theme here.
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, somewhat.
All right. How was high school years?
High school years were high school.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be away from them.
Okay. Did you play sports?
It was good. I did all the sports, football, track, wrestled.
What wrestling seems to be big in the Midwest?
Wrestling, I was right south of Iowa State, and Dan Gable, Iowa State was like the wrestling mecca. So, yeah, we wrestled a lot.
Yeah. Were you any good?
I was decent.
Okay.
Yeah, I was decent.
All right. Well, I know you just recently got into a little jujitsu action.
Did that. My leg doesn't do what it used to do.
Yeah. I feel you, brother.
I was in class last night. They're like, just do this. I was like, but I don't just do that.
Yeah. Well,
things will snap.
You get in there and you start rolling around and still think you're 18 years old. And then I end up in your office.
Exactly. And see, I don't have anybody treat me, so I'm stuck.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So you graduated high school and went to St. Louis?
I went to Maryville College in St. Louis.
Okay.
That's where I met my wife while we were there, actually, and graduated in 91. She's a PT too. She treats pediatrics, so she does babies.
Nice.
So
really?
Yeah. So I told her I got shorty on the stick because I know how to roll over, and I'm always fixing her neck. That doesn't work out right.
That's awesome. So how was that? Like a small college?
Yeah, it was a very small college, basically a big high school.
Okay.
But physical therapy, when we got into it, if you could get in PT, you went there. So what
do you mean by that?
It was rated the number one job in the country for a lot of years.
Okay.
And the school I went to had about, depending on the year, 2,500 to 3,000 applicants for 30 spots.
Really?
Yeah. Holy. Yeah, so if you got in, you went. So and at that time,
how many freaking people were at this thing? Like 100?
At the college, it had more than PT, but
the PT part of the college.
The PT college, there were 30 of us, so 4 classes of 30 is 120 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And there were 3 schools in the state at that time.
Got it.
Now there's a lot more.
Yeah. Well, you saying that and give me, it is what it is. Give me a date. Like what year is this roughly?
I graduated in 91, so 87 and 91. Yeah.
So was PT not as prevalent? Is that why? Or was it up and coming?
PT's changed a lot over the years, and it was kind of an up and coming. PT really didn't start around until World War II, so it'd only been around for about 40 years by that point.
Okay.
And it was really kind of evolving still, and it went from, walking people down the hall and doing a couple of massages to more like it's more holistic, do a lot of things that I do now. So what I do now compared to what I saw when I went into PT school is night and day.
Okay.
Night and day.
So more, I guess, traditional, like just...
Yeah, what happened, an osteopathic college came out of it by us too. So Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine, DOs. Kirksville, Missouri is right north of where I grew up.
Okay.
At that time, DOs couldn't do surgeries. They couldn't do certain things that MDs could do. So they did a lot of the manual things. They would do the manipulations. They would do all that. When they got the right to start acting equivalent to an MD, now there's really not much difference. When they did that, they said, hey, we don't have time for this stuff. So they grabbed the PTs. So seeing me today is kind of like seeing a DO in 1980.
Okay.
85. So we treat a lot of
tell me, what do you mean by manipulation?
Joint manipulations, pop things.
All right.
Pop and crack.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so we pop
you
cracks.
Put me on a table and
roll around,
turn me into a pretzel and start cracking stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. You're familiar with it. I got it.
It's the same thing.
All right. So you graduate there. Where'd you go?
From there, I got a job just outside of St. Louis. Did a clinic that only saw work hardening patients or workers' comp. It was called work hardening. Yeah. So my clinic looked like a factory. Yeah. And we treated people for 8 hours a day and went through the whole.
So what kind of treatment would that be? Like a neck injury in a factory or something?
Mostly necks, backs. Yeah, mostly necks and backs, but a little bit of everything. So if you got hurt on the job, you would go through traditional PT. I couldn't go back to my full job, so they would send you to us, and we would simulate your job. So if you were we did a lot with the river boats. So if you were a deckhand on a riverboat, you have to use a 100-pound ratchet. You got to be able to do the movement. You got to climb up and down ladders. We had all those things. Really? And so we would start you out carrying a 20-pound ratchet and move you up to a 100-pounder. We would to get you up to where you could do your job.
So are you doing any kind of therapy in between that, or are you just
sometimes
building up with a ratchet on a ladder?
Depending on what was going on with them, it could be either one. Yeah, okay. Yeah. It was a bridge.
Got it.
And they don't really do it like that anymore either. That was a long
time. Yeah, I would guess not, but I don't know, it's intriguing nonetheless.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I've been in every factory in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Seen all kinds of cool stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, at that time, a bunch of industry around that area?
In that part, on the Illinois side of St. Louis, it's very industrial. So,
okay, got it.
Yeah, there were several big ones. There was a big iron factory, steel mill. We've been through all of that.
Okay.
Olin has a company up there. Got to go shoot guns. So
nice. Sweet.
One of the oldest leather companies in the country is in St. Louis. So I got to go to Herman Oaks and look. It started in 1850 or something like that. Yeah.
Was that because you were getting clients from there? Or?
Yeah, they would call us to say, hey, we're either getting clients from them, or that was also when the American with Disabilities Act came into effect, which changed how you had to write job descriptions. And all the job descriptions had to have, hey, how much do you lift? How much do you carry? How much do you push? How much do you do this? So they would call us to come in, look at the job, and we would write job descriptions. That was part of what we did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So where we go from there?
So from there, Lori and I got engaged, and we were married and lived in Hannibal, Missouri, just north of St. Louis. And for
interesting name.
Yeah. It's there for about 6 years.
Okay. Same deal?
Did more traditional outpatient there. I did a little bit of work hardening. That was where I started getting most of my training for advanced skills that I have now.
Okay.
A lot of those came up while I was in Hannibal. I went through when I graduated, it was a bachelor's in physical therapy. I went back and got a master's, focused a little bit more on that. I published on headaches at that time.
Okay.
And that was in an international journal. And then I was going through some training with the University of St. Augustine on manual medicine and doing some of the joint manipulations and those things. That's where I really developed all of that.
Okay.
And then from there, we were by ourselves, had our daughter, and my wife was getting homesick. So we moved to her hometown, which was just outside St. Louis, about an hour outside of St. Louis in Highland, Illinois.
Okay.
And I did a couple things. I ran a couple clinics, ran a hospital, just kind of a couple, 3 things there.
Okay.
Thought we were going to be.
But you ran a hospital?
The physical therapy department for the hospital.
Okay.
Had an inpatient, outpatient division, and I was with the contract company, so I would go around the country. Had about 8 clinics that I would set up out of nursing homes to tell them if they could do an outpatient clinic or not, and then set up and develop that.
Okay.
So I did that for a few years. And then we started feeling the call to ministry from there.
Well, before we go there,
yeah.
What's the big difference, like your PT or physical therapy in a hospital versus outpatient going to a home?
Yeah. So if you're going to be if you're in a hospital,
you're on a practical level.
Yeah, so practical level hospital therapies tend to, it depends if you're doing with orthopedic surgeries or not. You'll see all the total hips, total knees, those kind of things. General hospital, if you've had a stroke, you fell, you did whatever, you're in the hospital, they have us come in, would help you get the strength to get up and get back to walking. So you did a lot of that. And that was a little rural hospital, so you saw a little bit of everything. And I had a inpatient side that mostly did all of that. And then there were about 3 of us that also did outpatient, just like a traditional outpatient clinic you think of now. So people come in for whatever, neck pain, back pain, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And then we were just, that was all kind of together because it was in a small town like that. Yeah.
So at that time, were you doing, like, as you say, cracking and joint manipulation, but were you also utilizing any kind of pharmaceutical?
Yeah, so physical therapists don't get pharmaceutical.
Right.
So we didn't really do those at that point.
Okay.
But it would be more, you would come in with a back injury and we would do the manual things or teach you what to do. A little bit more like what I do now. I couldn't dry needle yet because dry needling wasn't approved.
Right.
And that's what we started talking about sticking people.
Yeah.
So that came along.
I was going to get there. I wasn't going to think to let people think you stabbed me in the neck.
That was later. We can stab you other places.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so it's a little bit more traditional way you think about PT now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So then you moved back to your wife's.
That was in my wife's hometown.
Right. Yep. Okay.
And we were there for about 6 years and started several things that happened. Katrina hit and we started doing some mission work with Katrina and we're feeling a call to ministry and we're looking to go to Alaska as missionaries.
Okay.
I applied for the presidency of a Bible college in Glen Allen, Alaska, which is out in the middle of nowhere. Had everything they required, had nothing they preferred.
How old is your daughter?
She was 8.
And you're going to drag your daughter to where in Alaska?
Glen Allen. She was very adamant she was going to stay home with the grandparents.
Okay. I might have been too, boss.
She was not going.
Where the hell is Glen Allen?
It's on the Copper River east of Anchorage.
Okay. All right. So it's somewhat populous? Still
no,
okay,
there's nothing there.
Got it.
But there was a little college, so they trained missionaries, so I was going to try.
Okay, got it.
They hired a guy with the doctorate of ministry instead of me. I told him it was probably a good idea because I was a PT.
So this was
before ministry at all. Yeah.
Right, but you and your wife just felt a calling for this.
We're feeling a hard calling, yeah.
Yeah. What was it? You said the Katrina. What were you get involved with?
So Katrina hit, and we were in the middle of southern Illinois, and I had a friend of mine called me up that day and he said, "Hey, this is Labor Day weekend." He said, "I don't feel right sitting in my house when there's a lot of people don't have one." So we put together a list. We contacted a church in Jackson, Mississippi that was doing collection.
Okay.
Said, "What do you need?" Brian and I went and got a trailer. My friend and I went and got a trailer together. Laurie stayed home and made a bunch of cards, like business card size lists of what we needed. And we were going to go sit in front of Walmart and hand them out and say, "Hey, we need this much stuff when the trailer's full. We're leaving." Walmart said, "You can't do that." We said, "You realize we're trying to get you a lot of business."
Yeah.
And Walmart said, "No, you have to leave." So we went to Dollar General. And by the end of the day, that Dollar General was empty. There was nothing inside.
And your truck was filled up?
We had the trailer full. When it was full, we drove down to Jackson and dropped it off and then went back home. Yeah.
How silly is that?
It was crazy.
Go Dollar General.
Yeah, go Dollar General. They were very happy, but they had to shut down the next day because they had no stock.
Yeah. Well, if someone pays attention to something like that, they reload it quick.
Yeah, you would
that's
think.
a hell of an idea. I never thought about it. With like Michael,
right.
We were sending stuff over the other direction from us. But I never thought about sitting in front of the store and just people just going in and buying stuff and dropping it back in the trailer.
It was kind of cool. It took us about 7 hours to fill a 20-foot trailer.
Okay.
And
all right.
The news station came out and people were like, "I saw it on the news," and they're handing us gas and $100 bills. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
So y'all, cool. Would you pack trail up and went to Jackson?
Went to Jackson, Mississippi. Yep.
Okay.
So we took a load down there. We dropped it off, and my stepsister lived in Jackson, and we had that was when with Katrina, there was like no gas. It was really a weird time, and there hadn't been anything.
We were here.
There hadn't been anything like that for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? So I had a 5-gallon gas can with me, and I called my stepsister up. I said, "Hey, we're here. I got 5 gallons. Do you need it?" And she kind of hem-hawed around. I said, "If you don't get it, I'm going to give it to somebody." I was like, "You can have it or you get it." So they took it. At Christmas, I saw her. She goes, "Lance, you won't realize this, but that week, Rob, her husband, and I had a 5-gallon gas can. Somebody was wanting gas. I told him, you need to give it to them. We'll figure it out." And you called it within an hour and said you had another 5 gallons for us.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was cool.
So that kind of, and I think we in our area where we're sitting today, you had Ivan just to the
right. It was like the year
west
before.
of us. Yeah. And you had Dennis the year before and then Katrina. Ivan was 4. Not that we were numb to it because everybody here, Katrina was just so dramatic,
right,
because of New Orleans. The way it's still,
right.
You can say what you want. It's still a very possible event today if a hurricane that size hits it again.
Sure.
Because I'm sure the pumps work great.
Yeah, they get it all fixed.
Yeah, exactly. It's all buttoned up. We're going over there this weekend. I can guarantee you. Like, I drive by those pumps.
Right.
And, the city's built under sea level. So,
that's a whole nother story. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's a big shipping port. But I love me some New Orleans, and props to my friends at the Emeralds who got 2 Michelin stars.
Oh, there you go.
Yesterday.
Cool.
So, but yeah, it's not that we were desensitized to it, but so the reaction of the rest of the country, and I think it was so publicized because it was so dramatic, where you've had, the wind and the hurricanes and the water. It's like, yeah, well, we live in Florida. We're used to this, but the lack of maybe government help immediately and some of the things and the poverty in that area made it that much worse.
Well, even after Michael, there wasn't the outpouring there was for Katrina.
No,
because they did a lot of work after Michael.
Yeah, and we did too. Yeah. And it was, the hurricane wise, just as bad.
Oh yeah.
It just, Panama City through Mexico Beach and Port St. Joe is, it's not much above sea level, but it's still above sea level.
Right.
So
there's a whole lot less people there too.
Yeah, exactly. And then you don't have the poverty there.
Right.
You have parts of New Orleans, mainly the impoverished parts are the ones under sea level.
Right.
But anyway, all right. So you went to Jackson, kind of had a little calling, we'll say. And what was that from that church in Jackson or the people you're associating with?
I think it was just a build over time that we'd been feeling something, and that kind of affirmed what we were supposed to be doing.
Okay.
And we still weren't exactly sure what we were supposed to be doing.
Okay. Hey.
So, knew we were,
a lot of great businesses start that way.
Yeah. we were kind of him-hawing around, and there was a spiritual retreat called A Walk to Emmaus.
Okay.
That we ended up going on right after that. And
where was this?
This was in Illinois.
Okay.
And I went one week. My wife went the weekend after, and I felt a calling to ministry while I was there, like really heavily called to ministry. But I didn't want to tell her because I wanted to see if she said anything.
Yeah.
As she walked in the door the next Sunday after her retreat, she walked in, sat down, and said, "When we're going to seminary."
Okay.
So
y'all did this together.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd shared that, but now you're sharing it. So
yeah,
let's
everything's
do this.
a we. So like I have the degree, but it's a we.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you pack up and go to seminary school?
Pretty much. That was in December, and by August we'd moved to Wilmore, Kentucky, which is outside Lexington, about 8 hours away.
Where did you leave your daughter with the grandparents?
No, she was not going to go to Wilmore either.
Okay.
And we went to visit.
Doesn't sound a whole lot better.
Yeah, it's
probably a little warmer, but
Wilmore, yeah. Wilmore's an interesting place. Anybody's ever been to Wilmore knows what I'm talking about. We went down to visit, and Jordan wasn't going to go, and our tour guide just clicked with her, and I was supposed to go visit another seminary the next week.
Okay.
And at lunch, we were eating lunch with some of the faculty, and Jordan said, "You can cancel next week, Daddy. We should come here."
Okay.
Yeah.
So she couldn't have been much. How old?
She was 9.
9. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So she liked it.
She loved it. And her best friend's in Wilmore, and yeah, she loves it there.
Is it pretty rural?
Wilmore is about 20 miles south of Lexington, right on the river.
Okay. So.
So it's a holiness. I think this is funny. It's a holiness tradition, which is the don't drink, don't dance, don't smoke, don't do anything.
Oh.
Church tradition.
So they wouldn't let me there. Like I'm not even allowed in the town.
So but they used to be, some of the holiness schools had a sign. So they thought the cities where all the sin was. And if you're out in the country, there wasn't any, which is really weird. But one of the schools had a sign 20 miles to the nearest sin, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Well, I mean, it is bourbon country.
Yeah, it is. right next to it.
I have been to that part.
And horse track country.
Exactly. Betting, and whiskey and bourbon and all that good stuff that, I enjoy every now and then.
Yeah,
Not too much, but still.
Wilmore's fun. They've lightened up a lot from what they used to be.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that Bible Belt has, even where I grew up in Memphis, it was.
Yeah. Very, very heavily.
Yeah.
They had a Sunday church traffic report on the news.
Really?
Yeah. For all the churches letting out.
Do they church like all day?
Not too many of them.
Okay.
Now, if you got to depend on some of them, most of them are like most hour and a half.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, they would have, because everybody started, 10:30, everybody got out 11:30 or 12, and everybody had the police watching the roads.
Yeah.
So there was always the traffic report about how you get around the church traffic or how to get around the mega church.
Got it.
Yeah,
okay. Well, we had those. Like we're at, back to Memphis.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
Yeah, the big Baptist churches, and then they would be in the morning.
Right.
And then, I grew up Catholic, so it's like 1 hour and you're done. Works really well for me. But then typically whether the Black Baptist churches or just the non-denominational black churches, they will last a lot longer.
I had a friend of mine that was, he was in seminary. He went to Africa.
Okay.
And he was preaching. And a lot of times in Africa, by the time you get out, people are walking all day just to get over there.
Yeah.
And so our sermons, 30 minutes, something like that. So he's the church does a sermon. It's 30 minutes. Somebody stood up and said, "We walked all day. Tell me you got more than that." It's like, so I had to come up with more stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a commitment, but yeah, I could see. I mean, like, wait a second.
Yeah,
I've been walking for 3 hours, and that's all you got. Yeah. All right, so. Well, where were we at in Kentucky?
So in Wilmore, just outside of Lexington.
Wilmore. Okay. All right. So you picked this seminary school.
Right. So we went to seminary, graduated there in 2010.
Okay.
And I was United Methodist at that time, and that's how I got down here. I joined this conference, and I was appointed to a church over between Navarre and Gulf Breeze.
Okay. Got it. So wait. So the school you went to was specific.
It was a Wesleyan school, which Methodism is Wesleyan. It was not a United Methodist school.
Got it.
But I joined the United Methodist Church. I was ordained. I was ordained in the United
Could you
Methodist.
go other directions from that?
Yeah, you could.
So I've always been intrigued by this.
Yeah.
Especially, I grew up Catholic, with an all boys Catholic high school.
My wife was Catholic.
My
wife was Catholic.
It is what it is, different, but, kind of all Christian based. But in high school, we had to take religion, and fairly diverse. We covered pretty much the whole gamut, high level. What do you learn in seminary school?
I don't know. You can.
All right, man. That was my big question.
That was the big one
for the seminary school.
Just shot that one down.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. Do they teach you how to preach? Do they? You learning theology?
It's interesting because when I went, I don't think I knew. How about that?
Okay.
My idea when I went to seminary, I remember this really. Because it's funny that you did that to me.
Yeah.
When I went to seminary, I thought it was going to be like a 4-year spiritual retreat because that's why not, right? You sit around and chant like a monk or something. I didn't know. And I talked to my pastor at the time. I call him my spiritual dad. We're really good friends.
Okay.
And I said, "Don't you just sit around like that for 4 years?" And he laughed.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, that was weird, but now I understand what it was."
So was he there? Is that where you met him?
He went same seminary.
Okay, got it.
He graduated same place.
All right.
So you can make seminary what you want to make seminary. So it could be, the seminary will, and there's good, well, I'll call good and bad seminaries. The premise of seminary, it's very close to boot camp. So when you get to seminary, you will talk about a Bible passage and you'll say, "Well, what's it mean?" You'll say, "It means X, Y, Z." And they'll say, "Really, is that what it says? Or is that what you think it says?" And so you learn very quickly how to read. It's called exegesis of the original text.
Okay.
And what's it really saying? Is that really what it means, or am I reading my own thoughts into it? So that's a good thing. The good seminary,
which is a good thing. Your own thoughts,
to learn how to say what's the text say, and what's it really mean based on all the stuff, original language, and all that kind of stuff. What's it mean on that? So the good seminaries then will teach you. Okay, after we've broken you down, now we'll teach you how to put that all back together. Okay. So that you can be solid when you go out and you can have a good, solid message. Some of the not so good seminaries don't build you back up, but they leave you questioning a lot of things because they never really teach you how to answer it. The other thing that they do, it's really easy in seminary to turn the Bible into the Constitution because you're doing the same thing a lawyer does with the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they'll teach you almost how to look for loopholes and how to do this and how to do that, and you can make it just a law degree with the Bible if you aren't
okay.
But
I can see that.
You can also make it a very spiritual forming thing. A lot of my classes, some classes we didn't have class. We'd have the professor. All the professors were pastors.
Okay.
And they might do a devotional for an hour, and we may or may not get to what the lesson was that day, depending on the class.
Huh.
It's very deep. It's a lot of scholarship, a lot of reading, a lot of what's the original text say, what's the original language, what's the original setting going on. My Old Testament class was basically a biblical archaeology class. So
there's some history and background to it. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Our testing would be, hey, here's this pile of rocks. What do you think about it?
Okay.
It would be like, well, because it's made in this shape, it's from this dynasty, and here's this piece of pottery, it's got this design on it, so we know that's Samaritan, and we know it's from this dynasty, so we know it's from about this range of period. That was my Old Testament class. In addition to all the history of the Bible with what's going on with it, we read that into it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So did you consider your seminary experience or school good or bad?
It's the best 4 years of my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it built you back up.
Hands down, best 4 years of my life. Yeah.
So is the just curiosity like a bad one in your example? They don't build you back up. So that leaves things to the message giver for
at least
open to interpretation?
It leaves not even open to interpretation. It leaves you really questioning things because you don't.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of pastors are.
You mean questioning like directly out of the Bible?
Yeah, questioning faith. A lot of the fights that you hear about the Bible now are because there isn't I don't think some people are taught the way to hold it up correctly, and so they're left you kind of walk out of there going, I don't know anything, and so then you're trying to search on your own.
I'll be pissed if I walked out of 4 years of my life.
I know some people
said don't know anything.
I know some people are really screwed up by going to seminary. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It really
intriguing.
Broken. Yeah. It takes them a long time to put it back together.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you graduated, I guess.
I graduated.
Isn't that one of your acronyms?
The DMin, I got a master's from Asbury, and then I have a doctorate from Eastern Christian University.
Okay.
So the DMin is the doctorate. I have an MDiv, but I don't use it.
Okay. Is it what? You have an MDid?
I have an MDiv, master.
Was that what you got in seminary?
DIV is a master of divinity.
Okay.
But then a DMin is a doctor of ministry. So
okay.
Since that trumps it, I just don't use the masters.
Got it. What did you get in seminary?
The first
was that like an MB?
At Asbury, it's an MDiv.
MDiv. Okay.
It's MDiv.
All right. So what are we doing with this?
So then wait
a second. I got another question. Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't interrupt you.
No,
it's so intriguing to me. What did you do to make a living at this 4 years of your life? And you got this cute little daughter running around and a wife. You had to feed those people.
Right. So my wife, who was not working when I went to seminary,
even better. More questions are coming up.
She's a pediatric physical therapist, so she went back to work.
Okay.
We homeschooled my daughter, so I stayed home with her most of the time.
Okay.
And then I worked like 10 hours a week. There was a physical therapy place that was really cool. They opened a clinic in the town for me. And they told me to be in there whenever I felt like I could be in there. And if I was busy, don't worry about it. And just when I was open, I was open. And when I wasn't.
Okay.
And because that school had a big missions program, so there were people there from all over the world. And so they wanted me doing like half of the hours I was there. They wanted me seeing foreigners for free.
Okay.
So I would just.
So the seminary school was kind of supporting this?
This one from seminary is just another clinic in town that was over in the next town over. That just was the area.
And they knew of you or met you?
I met them. We were in the area looking for housing, and we were driving. It's kind of funny. I was driving by one night. It was in Nicholasville, it's the next town over. And it was right at close, and I stopped off at a PT clinic, KORT. It was the therapy. They're awesome if you're up there. And just said, hey, this is who I am. And they go, we don't have anything. And I showed him all my credentials with the manual therapy and everything. I said, well, maybe. And then they called me and said, we're going to open a clinic in Wilmore for the 4 years you're there, and we'll close it when you're gone.
Nope. All right. Well, I like the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah. So then the first day I had to go to work, I had to go to Nicholasville, and I didn't know where the clinic was. Because we just found it by accident.
Got it.
So I was like, I don't know where I'm going for the first day of work, and we didn't have iPhones, so you couldn't do it. Yeah. So we were driving around one night trying to figure out where the heck we were.
Okay.
I finally found it.
Yeah. Someone points you in the right direction. So wait, what now? Was your wife doing the seminary? I know she
did not go
journey.
She did not go to. She went to. I was the student, so I was the one enrolled. That seminary, Asbury, also has a really strong spousal program.
Okay.
So they have meetings and things for the spouses to talk about what it's like to be a clergy wife and the expectations of the family and how do you handle those kind of things.
Okay.
So like one of the funniest stories they told them, like the old joke is the pastor's wife will play piano. which we don't have a traditional church. So that's not even a thing in my church, but that's like the old standard. If you don't play piano, don't start, they'll make you play.
Okay.
And so Lori's like, she's like, I don't want to play piano anyway. And I was covering for a guy, this little dink town called Bybee, Kentucky. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And this little bitty church. And when we walked in, one of them goes, well, she's the pastor, so she plays piano. It's like the first thing out of their mouth.
Did she?
No, she never did learn either.
Got it. All right. No, she's not jumping into the stigma.
Yes.
All right. So y'all are there. You're finished ministry school. Finished seminary school.
Yep.
And then where'd you go?
Then because I was United Methodist, you joined a conference. I was in the conference. It's got the Panhandle of Florida in it. And
okay.
I was appointed to a church kind of halfway between Navarre and Gulf Breeze.
Okay.
So that was my first church.
Was it existing?
Yes, that was an existing church. It had been around for about 70 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and was going through some conflicts and just some different things that happened with it. Yeah.
What do you mean by conflict? I'm sure, whatever you feel like you can share or make it high level.
I can't go too far into it.
Because
because people are involved.
Yeah.
People screw things up way too much, and people had screwed some stuff up, and there have been some hard feelings. And I know that's never happened to anybody ever.
Yeah.
And so they had a bunch leave and a bunch of come, and they was just they needed some direction. And they had been a lot of hurt feelings and a lot of hurt people. And I talked about this Sunday with ours. I think the only place that you can get hurt, people will tell me I got hurt by church, I got burned by church. And I think it's because you open yourself up in the church in a way that you only open yourself to family. And those are probably the only two places on the planet that you can get hurt as deeply as you can get hurt because of the way you open up. And those hurts can go for a while.
I've never looked at it that way. I always look at it and maybe that's just, my side of, I think that's a great way to look at it, actually, because if you get people to open up and then they get burned, but it's not. The hard part for me is it's not Jesus burning them.
No, it's not at all.
It's the other people that they don't see eye to eye with in the direction of the institution of whatever. I mean, I saw it growing up, like kind of in the Baptist wheelhouse,
sure,
where whatever the heads of the church are, and one person gets pissed off about this, and then the next thing you know, half the congregation goes down the street and throws up a new church.
Or one of the jokes on the clergy is that church would be great if there are no people in there.
Yeah.
Well, because you would have to mess around with anybody.
In their opinion.
It'd be a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Well, so, all right, you accepted this challenge.
Yeah.
How'd that go for you?
It went good. We were there for about 6.5 years.
Okay.
The church did well, kind of got some healing done. It went from about, when I got there, it was about 60, and it went to about 250 to 280 when I left, and had and more than, I don't so big on butts and seats. I don't think that's such a big deal, but we had a really strong youth ministry going, and they were picking up and seeing what mission went, and people were growing, and I had people going to seminary. I think they had a good, strong foundation by the time I left.
Okay.
And so I had always felt like I was supposed to plant a church, though. That was the problem.
Okay.
And that was not a plant. And so plants are starting a new church.
Right.
And
I presumed.
Yeah. There's different ways to do it. But anyway, I filled out the paperwork and went through the process to be approved to plant a church, brand new one. So we started off with 3 of us in my front room, over in Navarre. And that was in 2017.
So when you did that, wasn't there a change in there or something?
Yeah, so that, not yet. So I planted originally in 2017. The UM said, yeah, you can go plant. And then the UM started, it's been going on since 1960, but some of the stuff that happened recently with the UM church was starting to bubble up then. And so we left the UM and became Free Methodist. I was the only one down here.
Okay.
Free Methodist split originally over in the Civil War, because slavery was a big issue.
Okay.
So there aren't a whole lot of them in the South. And then the other part was you used to not pass a collection plate. You would pay for your seat. And then the rich people would pay for the front row. Today they pay for the back row, but they pay for the front row.
This is how the Free Methodists do it?
Our church used to be like this in the 1800s.
Okay.
Early 1800s. You pay for your seat. You could show up late. Then everybody would watch you walk up the front row and know you were rich. The Free Methodists, we didn't charge. We're free. You could sit anywhere.
That's the difference. That's the distinct difference?
Well, that's one of the differences.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else?
Free Methodist Free Methodist is bigger outside the U.S. than in the U.S.
Okay.
It's about 4 million in the U.S. It's about 6 million outside the U.S. So it's very, very missional.
Well, go back to so it's United Methodist, right?
That United Methodist is one. I'm Free Methodist.
You're Free Methodist, but the paying for your seat thing, is that still a thing?
That was just, no.
Okay.
What? I mean, we could try.
I mean,
that's not a bad idea.
It sounds like a little social status action there too.
For parking spots.
Okay. I mean, look, hey, compared to what some of these other non-denominational mega churches do, dude, that doesn't seem too far out of the wheelhouse. Okay.
I think I'm missing out on some.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I understand you got to pay for the sound equipment. Okay. Right. That seems like a very equitable way of doing things, just like a concert.
Yeah.
Instead of passing the plate around and then, it's no different than what college football's turned into. Everybody's got an opinion because they're giving money.
If it weren't different than the whole spiritual God told us to tithe kind of things, that would be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
other than that little detail, then that's exactly the same.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So we don't have to pay for our seats anymore.
We don't pay for seats anymore. No.
I do like intriguing that the rich people walk down late.
They just want everybody to see them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a social status thing. All right.
So we didn't like that. So like my church, we don't even pass a plate at all at mine. We have a basket in the back. If you want to give, you give.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah. We talk about it here and there, but I don't pass one at all.
Do you press people? Or do you, let me ask a different way. Mm-hmm. Does the Free Methodist Church preach tithing?
Sure. I think all Christians should preach tithing. I put tithing in the context of what are we called to be? And it's not, I think that too often, especially in America, like you can run a bunch of numbers, and I've done this in sermons over the years. I don't think I won't say ever, but at least for the last 10 years, I have never done a sermon on tithing.
Okay.
However, I do several times a year. I will do a sermon on being generous and what do we do with our gifts and what we do with what's given to us. Americans spend more on ice cream than most of the country spends, or most of the world spends on food. So if we took if we took just what we spend on ice cream in America, we could feed the world.
Really?
Yes.
Is that that's a fact?
100%.
Yeah.
So
that's not that surprising, but unfortunately,
so there's a couple of things with that though, right? So if we're going to do that, then that means that the money that I give has to go to where it's got to go. Mm-hmm. And so that means the church has to be responsible with what you give to us.
Right.
And so if I'm asking my church members to tithe, I'll tell them, hey, this is what we're doing. Like when you walk in, you kind of expect the lights to come on. So we have to pay for that. There's things.
I get that.
So here's what we do I'm very open with, like in now this isn't Free Methodist necessarily. I think it's a good thing. That's what I do. Is if you come into mine, I'll say, hey, this is where our money, you give me this is what I want for your money, and this is what I do with yours. And it's pretty open. You can come up and see, hey, we gave away this much money. We're going to help, Thanksgiving's coming up, or just be the 9th year that we partner with Stripes over in Navarre. So anybody that's in the area wants to come.
Yeah.
We do a free meal for
good little restaurant.
They're awesome restaurant. Yeah. Rob and Inez are awesome owners. And they close the restaurant side down, keep the bar side open. The community, we get food and things for them, and we'll feed about 800 or 900 people on Thanksgiving Day.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And so our church, we joined that together 9 years ago with them. So we help, there's certain things we pay for that and help out with that. We give away, but that's very open with where we are. So if you're going to give me money, this is what we do with your money.
So this money thing is intriguing to me in the, today's world of the churching. Do you take any money as a
pastor?
As a pastor?
Yeah. I take a small housing stipend.
Okay.
They don't pay me a salary.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to take nothing, because I'm the Free Methodist, I have an overall conference, and the conference told me no, because if I ever wanted to leave, the church needed to be used to giving something to a pastor.
Okay.
Because the next pastor may not be able to
get that logic.
So they made me take something. So I have a small house.
But you didn't pull up here in a Rolls Royce, right?
No.
Okay.
No,
from the church.
Mercedes.
Just make sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so Mercedes guy, German. Okay.
I didn't want to drive my Ferrari today.
Yeah. So, I'm teasing. But at the same time, there's some seriousness to it.
Yeah. Jesus talked more about money than they talked about anything else.
Oh, well,
because it's part of our heart.
Yeah. So, but do you tie when you're talking to your congregation? Is that what y'all call it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I call them lots of things.
Yeah.
Depends on the day.
Yeah. Depends on the front row.
Yeah.
Do you talk about a percentage? I mean, you sound like you barely talk about tithing, period.
Yeah. I tell them to tithe, and I think tithing is a standard that we should shoot for, and that's 10%.
Okay.
So there's gifts, tithes, and offerings is how I delineated it out. A gift is anything that you give. Mm-hmm. A tithe is 10%. Really an offering is anything you give. A gift would be anything above a tithe. So like J.C. Penney, for instance, he reverse tithed. So that means he gave away 90%, lived on 10%.
Okay.
Now his 10% was more than 99% of ours.
Yeah.
But 90% is still 90% when it's in your hand.
Right.
So yeah, he reversed it. So tithing isn't really, some people will do, tithing is not the end all. If you don't ever give anything, I don't expect you to go to 10% because that's stupid.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
So make a commitment. 1% of 1% is 100% more than zero.
Yeah.
But the other thing that you'll notice when you do, it's not even the tithe. God doesn't care about the money. He'll figure it out. So he doesn't need my $50 or whatever it is I'm going to give him. But what he does need is for me to be committed enough to see the results of, I made a commitment that I'm going to give this. And the blessings that come in off of tithing, one of the standard things you'll hear is, I've never met an ex-tither. Because when you tithe, for some reason, I know the reason, but things just happen. Like, there's been times in Lori and I's life when I had no money. Like, I wasn't sure where the groceries are going to come from, no money. And $200 came back in it was like a $200 refund from the insurance that I knew was coming, but it came the week that I didn't have any money. That was the week it showed up.
Yeah.
I've had random checks show up and go, here, how you do. We had different things. I had a friend of mine that was in seminary, actually, and he wasn't trying to figure out how to pay for it. And he was like, God, I could quit tithing and use that money to pay the semester off, but I don't think I need to do that. He stayed up all night praying. The school registrar called him the next morning and said, we found a fluke in the system. You actually have a paid off account. That never happens, right?
Yeah.
So things like that, it's not that you tithe to get blessings, but things happen when you tithe that you can't explain without it.
Yeah.
And that don't know it. But it's the commitment.
I like that. I almost like the word commitment better. I don't know what, and that's probably a very personal thing, but the tithe and tithing it to a percentage.
Yeah.
Because, I may give more than 10%, depending, but I don't also give it just to a church.
Right.
I give it to
those
back to community.
Those are gifts.
Okay.
So a tithe, technically, tithes comes from the Old Testament. It was give a tenth of your grains, and then when they were out, they would sell the grain and they would send a tenth of their money. So a tithe, by definition, is 10%. Anything else could be gifts, tithes, offerings. They could be anything. So you can go above whatever.
Yeah.
So I said people, but I think people should strive to tithe, because I think because I've tithed when I have money and I've tithed when I'm broke, and I've seen what it can do for me. But it's the commitment of, hey, you make a deal with God. God says, I want you to give X amount of money, and I don't care if it's $2 or $2 billion. God says, this is what I want you to give. And if you are committed and faithful in doing that, then He's faithful to bless that.
Do you believe that is applicable outside of the church?
It can be. It can be. I think that the tithe, by definition, has to go to the church, giving to their awesome things that you can give to around. Yeah. And that's philanthropy, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Curious. Yeah. So, all right, you're with your new church.
Yep.
Sounds like it's growing. I mean, it
was doing fine, and we were starting to grow, and the conflict of the UM happened, so we grew Free Methodist. So that was in the spring of 2019. I had a church plant coach to kind of guide me through how to do it. And I told him what was going to happen and that I was coming back to plant. And because the Free Methodist was so much smaller, I said, I'm going back to physical therapy so the church doesn't pay me, because we start off with nothing.
Yeah.
And he said, you can do that. He goes, but we have to have a plan to get you back full time in the church. And so we laid out a 3 to 4 year plan to get me out of physical therapy and back into church, and what that was going to look like. Had it all lined up. That was in November of 2019.
Oh, great time to start.
Yeah. So
luckily you were in Florida.
Yeah, it was great. And, then like March happened and the world fell apart.
Yeah.
So we started working on it. And that's when the one thing that I like about church planning and my wiring is I'm entrepreneurial, and I get like, I like to do new things, and I always live in the future, and I'm always thinking.
Sure.
And so when you start planning churches, the question you get asked is, well, why are we doing that way? That seems stupid to me, which doesn't go over really well with the upper level stuff.
Yeah.
They love
people who think they've done it 100 times better than you.
They love all those questions about, well, that's dumb. Why are we doing that? And it started doing that not only in the church, but then I went back I worked for a corporate PT clinic, and I was like, this is just stupid. Why are we doing that like this? Because we don't have to do it like this. And
what time was this? Post-COVID?
This was 2000, right after COVID, right during COVID, like March of 20.
Were you doing PT this whole time?
I did not do any PT from 2000. I did like a couple hours here and there from 2010 to 2019.
Okay.
I was barely doing
Didn't you
PT.
do a stint at like Health South?
I've been with Physical Health South. I've been with a bunch of places.
Okay. Did I tell you we stayed in the Scoochie house on Lake Martin?
No.
It's this massive 20,000 square foot thing he built before he,
it was for jail.
Went on vacation permanent. Well, not permanently. I think he's out now, but in the casino that was part of that deal is right down the street.
Okay.
But yeah, you can rent that house, and it was actually very reasonable compared to beach prices.
I worked for Health South about the time that he got arrested.
Okay.
And they had a 1 year. You had to work there a year before you have stock options. And when all that started going down, we got a letter about how we value our employees. We want you to be able to invest early. And,
I bet.
They're trying to pump money.
Yeah, exactly. You spending it all over the place, and trying to bribe people for casinos with it.
It was quite an interesting time.
Sorry.
Anyway,
that one.
So I come back in from that, and I'm like, well, why do we... If somebody doesn't need to be seen 3 times a week, why are we seeing them 3 times a week? Or if they don't need to have that done, why are we doing that? And the question was, well, that's just how we do it. And I thought that was
this is
what corporate, I won't
2020. Yeah,
this is
I know.
2020.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
And I started going, well, that's, why would we do it that way? And
how were you seeing patients in COVID?
We all were only closed down. The facility I was in 2 weeks at home. And then I started seeing people in person because we were medical. So we could, we were
Florida. Thank you, Governor DeSantis.
Right.
Did they shut your church down for any period of time?
We were meeting in a school, and that was the hang up because we're a mobile church. I don't have a building at that point.
Okay.
So we got kicked out of the school.
Got it.
So then when we started coming back in, then I found a community center that we met in a community center that was at a park.
Okay.
So we had an indoor-outdoor option, and I met there for about 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
We have a place now.
Okay.
But anyway, so when I started asking that, Lori and I were talking, I said, hey, I don't think I can work for anybody else anymore.
Yeah.
And so
I get that.
Maybe I'm just a jerk. I don't know,
but
I can't work for anybody else. So we opened our own clinic at that point.
Well, if you think, look, that's entrepreneur 101. Like, if you think you can do it better,
right.
A lot of people don't have the balls to go do it.
Yeah.
They don't have that mentality. They can, unfortunately, a lot of this world just sits there and bitches about the way it does it. And they don't do anything about it, but good for you.
Yeah. I can complain to myself.
Yeah, exactly. You fire yourself if you think you suck.
I got the worst boss in the world. It's terrible.
So, all right, what did you do, or what did you recognize other than the 3 times a week and not necessarily necessary, but what did you recognize? Was it the whole system's broken?
I think the whole system's broken. Yeah. Well, and I think I'm not the only
100% agree.
I'm not the only one.
Personal experience with you and my insurance company.
Yeah.
That is broken, but
I think that the medical system in America is not, we're reactionary instead of proactive with too much stuff. So we wait till we have something really, really wrong, and then we freak out and spend $1 gazillion to try to fix what we could have taken care of 2 years ago if we'd have done something ahead of time.
Well, I'll give the crowd a real world example. I have a pinched nerve in my neck, and I've got a PT, a pain clinic, and an orthopedic surgeon telling me I need an MRI, and my insurance company still hasn't approved it.
They still haven't done it?
Mm-mm.
We'll have to talk later.
Yeah. Well, to your point, how much, if you had the knowledge of being able to look at an MRI image and know exactly what was wrong and where it's being pinched versus, multiple physicians guessing.
Right. So in your instance,
and I'm not making this about me, but it was, just,
there's 2 different ways to look at MRIs. Because sometimes I tell them your MRIs are kind of junk. I could tell you what most MRIs are going to tell without taking one. MRIs are snapshots, but when they start stacking on top of 3 or 4 or 5 other things, then they start to mean something. So if you have a patient who isn't responding to some things, and I've had these problems, and now an MRI could be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But what we've done in America is everybody in the world thinks I need an MRI, and to keep from getting sued, we just chuck people through MRIs, and now the cost has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
So we test for litigation.
That doesn't make any sense.
No,
They're more efficient.
We test more for litigation than we do to help people in America.
Yeah. I maybe I'm just a simple person, but I'm at the stack level where I feel like the MRI
would be beneficial. Yeah. Or I wouldn't have wrote the letter.
So, thank you. Appreciate that, man.
It's a HIPAA release, by the way.
Yeah, I got you. Eat it up, big dog. I'm good with it. So, all right. So you recognize there were some flaws in the system. Yeah. We know there's flaws in the insurance part of it, but specifically in the PT world, what is your take?
I think that too often if you're using insurance, they will lock in these standardized numbers, and if you don't go A, B, C, D, they don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain treatments that we have, like dry needling, like some of them that are very effective. We know they're effective, but for some reason the insurance companies just go, I don't think I'll pay for it. So then you can't use those. With certain insurance companies will say, hey, you only need, my professional opinion might need, maybe I need to see you post-op 12, 18 times. Some 18-year-old kid that's had a 6-week training goes, no, I think they only need 6 times because that's what this table says.
Yeah.
Well, I think they need more, but you get the 6. And it's not just PT, that's healthcare in general. It's a lot of fighting with them.
Well, and that's what a lot of practitioners, if you will, across the spectrum have gone to. Well, they've gone to, I mean, you don't take insurance, right?
I don't take insurance.
Yeah, just cash.
It's the same reason. Yeah. It's just not
concierge doctors.
Yeah.
Up usually, I use one, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to. I mean, I could go pay cash, I guess, for the MRI.
Right.
There's discounted places. So when you say the MRIs are so ridiculous, I'm just being stubborn at this point with my insurance company because I pay so much.
Right.
But you can get one for $500.
Right.
And
you can get them.
But the insurance company is paying $5,000.
Right.
To me, that is effing insane.
It's ridiculous. So I don't even use insurance.
Yeah.
We're in a health share ministry.
Okay.
So there's several of those out there.
Relying on Jesus and love. I need to, I got the emergency one at least.
So what health sharing does, you negotiate a cash price and then there's like reimbursements back and forth.
Yeah.
So there's Medishare is a big one. We're in Christian Health Share Ministry is about 4 or 5. So my wife, we had a blood test taken under UHC insurance,
mm-hmm.
and we had a $1 gazillion deductible. I think we paid $800 out of pocket for this blood test.
Mm-hmm.
She had the exact same blood test run, and we said, hey, we're self-pay, so we can run it through that. $89.
With no insurance?
With no insurance.
Or pretty much no.
I paid cash.
Yeah. It's crazy.
$800, $89, the exact same thing.
I get mine every 3 months, and what they're billing, I don't know, $1,500 or $1,800.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
10 minutes in Quest. I mean, I know they got to go to the lab and all that, but you can't tell me as massive as Quest is.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody's making a boatload.
And we get so many hands in the pie that you got to cover. So like with me, I'm a single provider,
mm-hmm.
but if I was going to bill insurance, I would have to have somebody to bill it. I would have to have somebody to make sure that it's getting collected and deposited and follow up on. So it'd be at least 2 to 3 people I would have to hire.
Your overhead goes
just to take insurance that I would make less than I make by not making insurance. And I would be able to see you one-on-one. I'd have to see 4 or 5 people at a time. It's just, you can't treat. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's what some of those doctors, especially that have gone up with, the big hospitals buying practices, I guess,
mm-hmm.
has become very, very big. And they're like pushing them. You got to see 40 or 50 patients a day.
Right.
Well, there's
you can't do it.
Zero customer service for that. It's just,
when you get down to chart, you're like, I don't know who bill versus free. I can't remember. You don't know.
That's why the concierge stuff's gone through the roof. Oh, let's shift to some positive stuff.
Sure.
So when did you mentioned the dry needling. Of course, I know you do that.
Mm-hmm.
When and why did you explore that?
So I started dry needling. Florida approved it. It's 21, I think,
mm-hmm.
something like that. When Florida approved for PTs to be able to dry needle, it's been around since the 60s
okay.
anyway. And I have several friends that have done it for years, and for certain things, it's really effective.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing you can do with a needle I can't do without a needle because I treated for 30 years without a needle. But sometimes it's much, much faster. So I can do it 10 minutes, what might take 2 sessions without it sometimes.
Okay.
And there's some muscles up underneath shoulder blades to different places are just really hard to reach. If you don't, a needle you could slide in there, I can't get, like my fingers don't go that far in there.
Can you give the customers out there or potential customers or listeners or whoever's listening, what the hell is dry needling? What is
That's a good question.
And in that same question, what's the difference in acupuncture?
Yeah, that's a common question. It's a good question. It's the same needle.
Yeah.
So it's really, we say needle, it's really a piece of monofilament wire. So we don't inject anything. That's what's called dry. So there's no injection. When muscles contract and relax, when they contract, they dump a whole bunch of stuff. They recycle them. That lets them work over and over and over. If you load a muscle, and it could be a low load over a long period of time, that's why everybody's got this crick in their neck from looking at their iPhone for 20 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could do something like a high load once. Like
it's a client right there. Right there. Our producer, Abby, she's looking at her iPhone.
I got the glare dad over here.
She's got, you might as well just go ahead and put Lance's number in your phone. Whorton Therapy.
There you go. So you can do low load over a long time. You can do a high load once, like slip, trip, car wreck, whatever it happens to be. When you load it,
low load is
low load's like
continuous.
Hanging. Yeah, it's like a fatiguing kind of thing, or it could be something high. When they dump those enzymes, they don't recycle them. And now physiologically the muscle's stuck and it can't relax. And that's why you get these ropey kind of knots up in your neck. Everybody's got these things.
Very familiar, sir.
Yeah. Those are called trigger points.
Right.
Trigger points can be painful. Trigger points can, because arbitrarily, if you have 10 muscle fibers and 3 of them are cramped, now my muscle's only 70% efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So they can make the muscle act weak, even though it's not necessarily weak. The problem is now when the muscle's weak, it has to work harder to get done what it's supposed to do, which strains it, which causes trigger points. And you get in this big cycle where you can't get out of it and break it. So you have to do something. You can ice, stretch, heat. You can massage it. You can roll it, scrape it. All those are techniques.
Yeah.
The fastest thing we do is to take that monofilament needle. You put it right into that spot and it forces a contraction out of the muscle. Some people will even feel or see a muscle jump, twitch, something like that. Sometimes you feel like
I felt that. Yeah.
Burning, stinging. Those are a response to it. And then you pull it out and the muscles reset and it can relax and go back to where it's supposed to be.
Okay.
That opposed to acupuncture, where the acupuncture is working on Eastern medicine principles of energy flow. And so you put the needles in specific spots along the body that's on, I don't know it because I don't do it.
Right.
But it's along their energy flow lines and it's supposed to direct the energy flow of the body to get the desired results. Acupuncture works. I send people for acupuncture for like, abdominal issues, some of that kind of stuff. I send people for acupuncture. I think it's effective for that. But they don't do the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So are they putting it, are you with acupuncture, are they actually putting it in the muscle tissue?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes they have different depths and things that they do. Like I said, I've treated some acupuncturists and they're like, yeah, I do different.
Yeah.
So I think they call them ashi or ahi points is what acupuncture calls. And that would be a trigger point. So when I get the twitch, they get it in acupuncture sometimes too, but they're not looking for it. I look for it. So it's a little bit different. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know you when this would be 15 years ago, but I had inevitably had to have surgery on my shoulder, but I went and did acupuncture. It didn't work for me, but it ended up being a structural issue anyway.
Right.
But I was trying to avoid anything. You get desperate, like I'll do anything before I have surgery. Now, what he did do is he put this thing that says, this is going to make you go to sleep. And he stuck one of them like somewhere around my abdomen. Mm-hmm. And I'll be damned, dude. In 30 seconds, I was drooling. I mean, I was out. And he came back in there, woke me up. I'm like, an hour later, I'm like, the shoulder thing didn't work. I want to go to sleep.
Had a good nap out of it.
I was like, that's the only time I've ever done it. Well, thank you for explaining the difference. I mean, it works. I will tell people that the dry needling has helped me with certain things. Yeah, I've got some buddies that have been to you.
There's a few things that we do, and that's one of them that people will come in like can't move their arm and get done, and they're fine. It's really it's a shock factor sometimes.
So how's the business going?
Doing well.
Yeah,
doing really well. Enjoy it over here.
You're over here in Santa Rosa Beach 3 days, and you don't have an office in Navarre anymore, right?
No, I closed my office in Navarre, so I'm over here on Santa Rosa Beach.
Bunch of people with problems over here in Santa Rosa Beach.
I know you're helping
messed
out.
Up. Yeah, we're all jacked up over here.
I'm right on 331, but I'm here Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
All right,
and then on Wednesdays I write sermons, so I'm back in Navarre.
Okay. Now, do you have church on Wednesdays?
I don't have a Wednesday church. I have a Sunday morning.
Okay, got it.
They think I need to say something. I don't know. So I usually try.
Well, no, I know you need to say something Sunday, but there's some, I don't do the non-denominationals. I think
there are Wednesday night suppers and things. We'll do that. Yeah. We're so small that we just have Sunday. Yeah, we're small church.
Do y'all get together often?
Off and on. Yeah, we do barbecues and we get together. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a family.
Congregation, family.
We have a good bunch.
I like that part of the church.
We have a good bunch, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a real good bunch. We have a high special needs community in our church, too, so we have kids with all kinds of stuff.
Okay. Is that from your wife?
Some, and some of it's just, a lot of them, Laurie treated over there and knew a couple of them, and some of them showed up, and the church is good and accepting, and they say we feel like home here, and that's what we want. So.
Is she still working?
She does. Yeah, she does. She has some kids with us.
Okay.
And then she will see Early Steps is the birth to 3 program for the state. And so she sees a few kids around the,
what is that?
So anybody, I think they age out at 3.
Okay.
I think it's 3. Yeah, it's 3. And so it's basically home health for babies. But if they qualify, if they find something with them, it's a free program through the state. Every state has one.
So curious, what is PT for babies? Like,
so she, her big thing is that so my daughter's 28 and we did side sleeping when she was young. Mm-hmm. It wasn't too long after that where they started the back to sleep because they were worried about SIDS, the infant death syndrome. When they went to back to sleep, now they aren't getting enough time on, they call it tummy time, where the kids lay on their stomach.
Okay.
So now they're getting flat heads.
Okay.
Flat heads, the pediatricians tend not to watch for it because it doesn't kill them. So they're looking at other stuff, but they don't think about it.
I always got the impression, and this is probably being naive, that was from neglect.
Not necessarily. It's from not moving.
Okay.
So if the baby's too young to roll and they're just laying on their back all the time and the bones aren't formed, then you get a flat spot.
Got it.
And when they get a flat spot, it causes some issues because it could cause cranial pressure on your brain.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they're not rolling on their stomach, they're not developing their muscles correctly. So then it hurts them for their developmental. They won't crawl when they're supposed to. They won't walk when they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. They will have injuries later on. Their head shapes kind of get misshapen off on it. And now I'm seeing the kids, because it's been 15, 16, 17 years, that their jaws are messed up and headaches because their head were flat when they were babies. So, and about 95% of that could be fixed if you do things correctly from the bat. It's preventable.
So is she more coaching, or
she will coach? She will show the kids how to do it. She also sees kids with, all kinds of medical issues too.
Okay.
But her big drive is, let's do this. We could keep kids out of helmets. Helmets cost about $5,000. No insurance covers them. And they're,
you mean those little? Yeah, I've seen the kids with them.
They have to wear them 23 hours a day, even through the heat in the summer.
Huh.
And about 95% of it is completely preventable if you get a hold of them early and do it.
So that's just from laying on their back.
It's from the parents just don't know because they don't get told. And the pediatricians don't watch. Yeah.
I don't know if we did really.
We didn't, because my daughter was younger. She was on her side. They would sleep on their stomach and they'd raise their head and they get out of position. So they wouldn't do that. Yeah. It became an issue with back to sleep. So early 2000s.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. I'm trying to think of it. I don't know if we went into there, rolled them over like hot dogs or what.
Yeah. So everybody gets, because they
turned out okay. I
guess. You could ask them. But yeah, so that's her. She's with us. So she does that with us.
Okay.
So she sees some kids there still.
All right. Let's talk about these books, because I'm intrigued, especially about one of them. So the first one you did was what?
So they came out about the same time.
Oh, you did from it?
Yeah,
okay.
I've got both of them. So the one of them is Calm in the Chaos, and that one was from my doctoral ministry work, basically.
Okay.
And both books are how do we treat the body to calm pain through breathing techniques. And when you said you went to sleep because he put a needle in your stomach, that place he put that needle activated the parasympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
And the parasympathetic is the rest, relax. So we have fight or flight, we have rest, relax.
Can that book tell me how to do that to myself?
It won't tell you how to stick a needle in it, but it'll tell you how to engage it. So there are different.
That is one of my problems.
There's different ways that we engage it. Yeah. So they definitely will help us sleep.
Okay.
So the Calm in the Chaos is a devotional book. It's a 21-day devotional. And so it's got scripture reading with Christian breathing and prayer practices with some physical therapy things. What I finally found through the last year, I've struggled for 25 years of how do I make my Christian ministry and my physical therapy, holistic healing. I was like, they got to mesh, and I don't know how to mesh them. Mm-hmm. And that's the other reason we have our own clinics, because I've gotten to mesh them finally.
Yeah.
So this is how do I combine those? And so there's things like, this is every week of this one engages a different sense. So 1 week is all touch. So it's, do you hold something, hold a prayer cross, hold a this. 1 week of it is feel. Sometimes it's like put your foot in grounding on the ground or in water. Hold prayer beads. There's pictures that you can look at a picture while you reflect. And those are ways to engage the vagus nerve, which controls the parasympathetic system and decreases pain. And there's physical therapy stretching in here too. So that's a 3-week devotional.
Okay. Intriguing.
And then Clinched is the one that I just finished recently. It does some of the same thing. So it's a physical therapy and Christian practices to engage the vagus nerve to decrease that sympathetic state. So one of the things that research shows is if we're in a sympathetic or this fight or flight state for all the time, then chemicals start getting released in our brain and we don't know how to get out of it. So then you have to live in a rest, relax so that you can calm down. The brain is constantly going, no, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. You can never relax. And then I can never get things done. And then I will carry pain in different ways. Like one of the cool ones, I changed the name, but she's in the book. One of the first patients I ever saw, this was the craziest thing I've seen. I was This would have been the late 90s. So
Okay.
I hadn't even started putting all this together yet.
Okay.
And I was in Hannibal. And I tended to get some of the chronic patients. Everybody's like, Lance, what do I do with them? You look at them. I was like, great, thanks. Come on in.
Okay.
So this gal came in.
Chronic pain.
Chronic pain. Yeah. Anything that nobody else knew what to do with would end up on my schedule.
Got it.
Most of the time.
Okay.
So they were like, I don't know what's
going on. That's a compliment.
Yeah.
Here, Lance, fix this.
That's one way to put it.
We don't have no idea.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know either.
Yeah.
So
I'm here.
This gal came in and she had a shoulder injury. Couldn't tell me what happened. It's called insidious. Just kind of started hurting. And I was talking to her and I couldn't even touch her. She would start physically crying and like jerking away from me, even the lightest touch, which is not normal. Right?
Yeah.
There's a term for it. It's called allodynia, but it's not normal. And so I was like, well, I can't really evaluate you because I can't touch you. And I started just asked her a couple questions and it came out that her son was her only son, had went to the military. This was after the first, like right around the time of the first Gulf War, right in that kind of right after it.
Okay.
He had been on a train car with his head sticking up out of it and hit one of those water cross beams with his head and got a head injury.
Oh, okay.
And so he was in the hospital and was unconscious. They released him from the military. He was back home. And she kept saying, he's not my boy and he's not this, he's not that. And I just said, did anybody ever tell you what happens after a head injury? And
yeah.
He was like, no. And so I told her just a few things about how, your personality can change based on what gets hit. This could happen, blurger, these kind of things. She just lost it on the table, started crying. I handed her a box of Kleenex, shut the door, and I left. The next day, I didn't treat her, I didn't do anything. The next day she came in, she goes, Lance, look, moving her arm, 100%, no pain, no nothing. But it was subconsciously she was carrying that pain was manifest.
Yeah.
In her shoulder. So part of what we do then because we're spiritual beings too, and because we have this nature, we will carry tension, we'll carry hurts, we'll carry this unrest in our body so that I stay in this constant tension, especially headaches and like jaw clenching. I just can't release it. And then my body doesn't know how to release it. And then when I start to release it, your brain goes, oh no, we're supposed to be tight. And it kind of wigs it out. So this book's kind of walking through this process of how do we do that?
Okay.
And some of it's through prayers. Some of it's through, I've got breathing patterns. Some of it is the same stretching techniques I showed in the other one, but they're to decrease pain so you can engage that parasympathetic system to decrease this pain at home.
But isn't that one catered kind of to migraines?
The clinched is for mostly headaches and migraines, but it can be applicable to anything.
Okay.
It's specifically for headache, migraine.
Okay.
The calm and the chaos is just for general pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're kind of they don't go together, but they're kind of the same thing. Yeah.
I got you. Well, so, I've shared with you, my wife has migraines.
Yeah.
And when we first met, was probably not the most sympathetic person.
So we changed that?
I know that's hard to believe. I didn't say I'd changed it, but I have a very high tolerance for pain, and then she'd get a headache, and I'm like, "What's wrong with you? Get up, take some Tylenol."
Yeah.
Well, it didn't quite work
goes
like
over
that.
really well.
Yeah, no, it awesomely. Yeah, I'm surprised she married me. But I had never experienced that, so I didn't understand it. It's just simple as that. I mean, I wasn't being mean, but I was like, how do you have a headache for 3 hours, and you're curled up in a ball in a dark room?
Right.
And it just didn't register with me.
Right.
So anything now, it clearly does because I know when she knows what's coming on, she's better about it too. But you're also, a lot of people treat it with high level pharmaceuticals that cannot be good for you taking long term.
Yeah. What happens with headaches, especially, and I don't get headaches. I started treating them because Laurie gets them.
Yeah.
And she was kind of same thing. She'd be balled up on the floor. She was starting to lose vision. It would tunnel out.
Yeah.
She got all these things. So I was like, well, I have PT, we can fix these.
Yeah. I know what I'm doing.
That's how I started fixing them. Honestly, that's how I got into it. She was one of the subjects of my first research project.
Okay.
She was one of them. So what research shows is that women tend to have them more than men.
Mm-hmm.
Men tend to get cluster headaches where women tend to get migraine. Doesn't really matter.
What's the difference?
It's the pattern how they come on.
Okay.
So that like a cluster headache tends to be, I might go 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever it is, and I have like every day, I have this really, really bad headache. 8, 9, 10 months, I don't have anything. And then, then wham, I'll get this session of headaches again, and it just kind of cycles. Migraines have a true diagnostic criteria to them. They're actually a medical thing. So some of the diagnostic for it is typically they're one-sided pain. Aura is the word we use for like, it could be fuzzies around your eyesight. Some people, like I said, Lori was tunneling in where she would get like stars and would kind of tunnel in. She was losing sight. Blood pressure issues go with it. Sometimes light sensitivity goes with that. Those are some of the diagnostics, not all of them. But what it shows is about, doesn't matter if it's cluster or a migraine, about 80 to 85% of the people with those headaches also have some other component. So they can have it's called a cervicogenic headache if it comes from your neck. TMJ is the jaw joint. That could cause headaches. It could actually cause a lot of headaches. They can have pain from just stress headaches or tension headaches that come up through those. So they're not part of the true migraine attack, but they still cause, and they manifest as head pain. So what we'll do that, or what we've taught people in the world, and this is in the book, one of the things that we've taught people is that pain is something to be avoided and it's a bad thing. When really, God gave us pain to signal something is going on. And so that we don't just ignore it. That means something needs to be addressed. And pain is actually a blessing if we look at it like that. But we spend our whole lives going, don't have it. And now the hospitals, Medicare gives you more money. They'll give you more money. They will take money if they don't ask you, what's your pain tolerance today? Is that better today? Do you want a pain med?
Yeah.
Do you want that? And we just bury pain. And we get to the point where we're so adverse to pain that we don't know what to do with it, when really it's there to show us something's going on and what do I need to actually fix. So we just numb everything. That's what it is. So now Botox, I hate Botox. It's because you're injected botulism.
Ooh.
Like you wouldn't, if I was out going, what am I going to get in my body today? Some botulism does not sound like a good idea.
I got a lot of female listeners here.
People
Doc.
get a lot of botulism.
You're killing them right now.
Dry needling is shown to be, at minimum, it's as effective as botulism without sticking botulism in your body.
Really?
Yes. So there's minimal reason for, once in a while somebody will still need that, but it's a cash cow for a lot of people, and they will just start chunking Botox.
Yeah.
For jaw pain.
I like my lines on my face.
For Botox. Well, that's not for the lines on the face, but that's for headache.
Okay.
I won't get into that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm smarter than that. I've been married. How long have you been married?
Huh?
How long have you been married?
16 years.
I've been married 31. I'm smarter.
Okay. Fine. Look.
We don't talk about women's wrinkles.
Point taken. Yeah. So, yeah. But you were talking specifically for headache.
They will do it for headaches. So
yeah,
the base of that. They will do jaw pain. And my problem with the jaw, when we inject Botox into the jaw, then what we're doing is paralyzing the muscle. So that does decrease the pain because the muscle's paralyzed. But remember I told you that when muscles get overworked because they're acting weak, now I've got a half paralyzed muscle that has to overwork. So that just means it fires off trigger points, which makes the pain is never going to go away.
Yeah.
So as soon as the Botox starts coming back, now I got more pain. Now I need another shot. Now I need another shot. Now I need another shot. There's better ways to do it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So specifically for the migraines or the jaw pain, you're not a believer.
There's more ways
to
I don't mess with the wrinkles.
Yeah, we're going to stay away from that. Okay. All right. I'll keep that.
But when we go through it, there's some breathing techniques and some things you could do to help teach your body how to come out of that. There's another cool thing that's called the amygdala hijack. I always think this is awesome. So the amygdala is it's the gate control for the brain. So if I'm walking down the road and a bear jumps out, I don't want to think, hey, that's an 8-foot tall bear. I want to react, right? But if it's a cat or something, I could stop and think, oh, that's not going to bother me. It's a rational thought. Okay. So the amygdala is the one that takes that input and it could either go to the prefrontal cortex for thought, or it needs to stay here and I need to react. And this is interesting too, it takes about 8 seconds for the amygdala to get it to the prefrontal cortex to think about it, to come back to what you say or what you act. So when you're a kid, your mom ever tell you to count to 10 before you say anything? That's why it works. So the amygdala.
I'm just thinking about a grizzly bear coming at me and taking 8 seconds to figure out what
that's why you want to just act, right?
Okay.
You just want to act. So what the amygdala will do though, under periods of prolonged stress, during 2020, I remember doing 80 in the middle lane of the highway and getting flipped off because people were going around me. Your experience, like people were just crabby and high stressed, right? So the amygdala, in periods of prolonged stress, and the longer the stress and the higher the stress, the more this happens. It's called the hijack. It quits sending inputs to the prefrontal cortex for thought, and everything becomes reactionary. So we don't think about anything, we just react. And when the world is so crabby all the time, and nobody is like, why are we can't talk, everything's just exploding right now. It's because we've had all this prolonged period of political stress and COVID stress and this stress and that, and everybody's reactionary so much that nobody is thinking right now. It's called amygdala hijack. And the only way to come out of that is to settle your system. So your brain's not going, I'm in danger all the time. I need to settle it down so I can think about things and rationally respond.
So you're clearly a believer in the breathing techniques too.
Yes, they help a lot. Yeah. I teach a 4-2-6. So it's a 4-second breath in, a 2-second hold, and a 6-second breath out.
Okay.
That's an easy one.
Okay. Yeah. 4-2-6. I can even remember that, Doc.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. So anything else that you, that when you broke out and kind of did your own things, you wrote these books.
Yeah.
That you feel like you do differently than your standard PT.
Sure.
That the insurance companies are going to send you to.
So we do, when you come in to talk to me, I'll do things holistically. So I think that's part of why being on my own, I can talk about prayer and what that means. The insurance companies don't usually like that.
Yeah.
So
shocking.
So yeah, I know something might help. So we can
help everybody if they did a little bit.
We are mental, physical, and spiritual beings. And if we don't address things mentally, physically, and spiritually, you're leaving a piece of it out. And even hospitals are figuring that out now. They're starting to add that in. And the other thing that I've really started looking at, and what part of why we wrote the book Clinched, is to try to help. I'm limited on how many people I can help right now because I've only got so many hours in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to get the word out to help more people and doing some things online. So we do some more group things.
Okay.
So on December 2nd, I'm going to do a webinar, and we'll go through some of the things that are in Clinched, and it'll just be kind of those activities. Some other things coming out. The book is written so that you can get a hold of some techniques when I'm not there 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And teach you how to walk through those. So that's the next step that we're going towards.
So how do people find you for the seminar?
Sure. So you can watch me. I'm on all the social medias. Okay. So YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. It's Dr. Lance Whorton.
Okay.
You can go to, if you look up Whorton PT, Whorton PT, and put book or Clinched, then it will take you. I have a separate website where you can order the book, and the webinar links will be through my social medias too.
Okay.
It'll
cool.
be coming out. Yeah.
Anything else? How can everybody find you? Social media, you hit that?
Yep. The easiest way, you go to WhortonPTOnline.com is our website. Social media is the easiest. I post just about every day. We have something coming out about something.
We need to make sure we follow him.
Yeah.
Yep.
So appreciate that. And like I said, they can call him, we could talk. But yeah, the biggest thing I would say for anybody that's suffering from any type of those headaches or this kind of chronic thing is step back and see what's it coming from first, because don't just go pop Tylenol. You can also get this would probably be a big one too. You can get what's called a rebound headache. So if I get my headache and I take ibuprofen for 4 or 5 or 6 days and I decide I'm better and I take the headache, you can get a headache because your body's withdrawing from the ibuprofen.
Yeah.
So it's called a rebound headache.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with all the meds. There's always a trade-off with medication. I think medication has a place, but if we can decrease the amount of meds in our body, I think we're better off.
For sure.
Yeah.
Especially post-COVID, I'm not a fan of pharmaceuticals. Yeah. The government handled that situation so well.
Yeah, they do everything so well.
Exactly. Why would we ever have a trust factor?
That's a whole nother.
Well, but I feel like, I can tell you personally, you've helped me, from some pain and problems that I've had and some of my friends, and that's how I found you. So there's a compliment, the referral is one of the best. But going at it differently, I like what you said, recognizing the pain. And I think as a society, we just try and kill it.
Right.
However we can.
Yep. Doesn't matter.
I ended up having to go to a pain clinic just to try and get the MRI. Wasn't a fan, worked for a minute, but it's still there. It's not fixing the problem. So identifying what the problem is, I think you look at more of that side of it than
Definitely.
just, throwing some drugs at it.
And we're almost like the Bible talks about generational curses. And I feel like the way we handle things are almost generational now. So just give me the biggest drug I can get so I get rid of it real fast. And
that doesn't get rid of it.
No.
Especially what I've got. Nerve issue going on.
Yeah. It's not.
And there's a lot of people that it doesn't. It just covers it up. And then you become, in some cases, unfortunately, addicts and what have you.
Well, and all medication has a trade-off. There's so much good for so much damage. And everybody thought Tylenol was fine. And now look, last month with it. Yeah.
That's all I knew.
Yeah.
That's like going back to Robitussin. Put some Tussin on it. Well, thank you for all you're doing.
Appreciate you.
Go check Dr. Whorton out. Everybody knows how to find him on his website. I can attest he has many talents in curing some of ailments without just putting some drug patches on it. So thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to come in.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
All right, Lance. Have a good day.
Thank you.